Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here with you on Super Bowl Sunday, February 7th. And I am here to go over the NBA, of course. We have a really nice 5-game NBA slate, all early afternoon games to avoid bumping into the Super Bowl. So I wanted to get this out early so that you guys can all take a look, figure out your lineups, get everything set, and make some nice DFS coin before the big Super Bowl. So very excited to go over these games. There's some intriguing matchups and some interesting player news. So we're coming off a Saturday night where I've got to say I didn't have the best of luck this evening as far as pushing some of the right buttons. Certainly enjoyed watching that Curry versus Luka standoff, but unfortunately, I didn't have coverage with those guys. In retrospect, I wish I would have, but that was an amazing offensive output to show. But they got the coach a little ticked here, so I'm ready to come after him on Sunday and smack it. We did have some good success on the early slate, the two-gamer from earlier on Saturday, so that was a good way to start it. And we also have our golfers in contention, are right in the on the leaderboard, hopefully to finish some good DFS finishes for us on FanDuel and Draftkings. So we had the weekend lineup that's really coming through. So be checking that out tomorrow as well. Um, Obviously, you can check us out anytime at dfscoachtalk.com. Love to have you join us. We have as little as a 3-day membership, and you can join for all the way up to a year. And we do have a special offer, and I want to mention that on the kick here because a lot of people like to bet on the Super Bowl, and we have an exclusive offer with BetUS. If you go to betus.com.pa and sign up for the first time, make a deposit of $199, and use the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. You will receive a free 3-month membership to DFS Coach Talk, and that's from the day that you sign up. So if you sign up today, you get 3 full free months of DFS Coach Talk, and that $199 you're depositing in BetUS, you can use to bet on the Super Bowl or some of the basketball games, whatever you'd like to do. So exciting offer. We love our partners at BetUS and really appreciate them stepping up with us in this one. All right, a couple things real quickly. Let's talk about the time frame of the game so everybody gets these done. It's going to be an early lock. It's a 1 p.m. lock, so hopefully everybody has a chance to catch the podcast, check that out, get lineup set. Again, hopefully just getting this out here early will give everybody a jump in doing that. But we have 3 matchups at 1 o'clock: Washington, Charlotte, Utah, Indiana, and Miami and the Knicks. And then a 2 o'clock game with Boston and Phoenix. And then the last game on the slate is at 3 o'clock, and that is Sacramento and the Clippers. So that should give everybody a good feel for how that's going to roll out. So the games will be over well before Super Bowl stuff gets into effect. All right, let's talk a little bit right off of the get-go here with injuries. And so we'll just touch on those ahead of time here, and then we'll factor them in when we go through these 5 games. Paul George has already been ruled out for Sunday's game. So we know that is going to be a little Kawhi friendly there. Raul Neto is questionable, which is fairly important because it affects Ish Smith and certainly maybe even cuts into a little Westbrook if Raul's back. Cameron Payne is out. Abdel Nader is probable. Jay Crowder doubtful. 2 gigantic ones here. Mike Conley is out for Sunday's game, and that changes thing. That puts one of my favorite roster guys, Clarkson, into play. And then the other big news is Jaylen Brown. So the question is, do we go back to Tatum, or are we going to, tackle some Kemba again? But Brown is not going to play Sunday. Last couple guys, PJ Washington questionable for Charlotte, and that's very important because they're short on bigs. And then Devontae Graham strained his groin. He is not going to play. So it just opens more ownership for LaMelo Ball, who just absolutely went bonkers the last game and has been amazing. So that is going to be very interesting to see, how much ownership he'll get. It's against Washington, and we know how they're, a little defensively, uh, prohibitive in not a good way defensively, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, that's the story on the injuries. Um, Definitely connect with us in Discord or keep an eye on our Twitter in the morning all the way up until lock, because there will be news. Hopefully not like tonight. Tonight was just insane with all the crazy news going on. But I think we'll have a little bit more feel in the morning for how that's going to go. Okay, we're going to jump in. We're going to hit these 5 games and let you guys get ready for your big Super Bowl parties and everything going on. We have, like we said, the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets. You've got a defensive efficiency of Washington of 29th, so that at least they're not last anymore. And Charlotte is 16th, middle of the road. We know that, the great combination for Washington, which makes us always want to play teams that play them, is they're also the first in pace. So they're getting up and down the floor and they're creating more possessions, hence a lot more opportunities here. Charlotte is 17th, which, middle of the road, we can accept that. It's not like we have a super slow team to bumper up against the speed of Washington. A couple things here. It's interesting with Westbrook being back, the Westbrook-Beal dynamic and how that all plays out. The expense is high. 5-game slate, it's not like this is just a showdown or 2-gamer where, you have to take the, high-price guy just either as, in fear of that he breaks the slate or as a blocker. I think you could be a little bit more contrarian. You can be a little bit more selective, especially with these 5 games that we have. So I'm really not leaning towards anybody from Washington right out of the gate. I think that my interest is much more on the Charlotte side, based on obviously everything I already stated. But Charlotte, LaMelo, I mean, how can you not want to play him? His price is adjusting, but obviously his potential and ceiling is, who knows, unlimited at this point. So you got to, I like him. I also like Terry Rozier. The extra time that those two are going to get and usage with Devontae being out is a big plus. And then you can even go GPP wise for sure, but if you want to go super value, Malik Monk has certainly taken advantage of the extra minutes that he gets in the rotation when one of the big 3 guards are out. I also like Cody Zeller here. I think Cody Zeller's a good play. Washington is rotating a lot of centers. Alex Len has been getting a decent amount since they picked him up. But, Cody's solid. He makes value all the time, it seems like, and his price is right. And so, I have no problem stacking 2-3 guys from the Charlotte side. Now, if I do go with 3, generally I'll want to put at least one guy in from the other side just to get a little correlation there, and not for sure, but that's something that I generally like to do. If I just go with 2 of the Hornets, more than likely I'll can go with 0 Wizards. But if I do go on the Washington side, I want to try to look for a value guy that's improving, like a Hashimura or a Mo Wagner off the bench, or even an Alex Len. On DraftKings, like where you can play 2 centers, it doesn't hurt to get some of those guys in there because they're going to get some rebounds and fall into place. So that's how I'm looking in game one. We go to the second 1 o'clock game. Utah Jazz and Indiana Pacers. This should be a really interesting game, a competitive game. Utah is third defensively right now. We know they've really locked down people. Indiana's 15th, right in the middle of the pack. Problem with Utah games, though, is the pace. They're 25th, and they absolutely slow it down, move it around, work the ball. They share the ball, are just a really solid team. And Indiana's 12th. So very, very tough one to call here. This is not a game. I don't think, we don't have the lines yet. They're not up, but I don't anticipate this will be a very high over under and, maybe one of the lower of the five. Certainly not a game I'm going to target. I will say that Bogdanovich for Utah is playing against his old team, Indiana. He's been red hot the last 4 or 5 games, and they haven't completely adjusted his price. It's increased, but he's worth a quick look. Also on the Indiana side, you got the same type of situation with Jeremy Lamb. His price has gone up some, but he's been super efficient and playing very well and getting extended minutes. So I like both of those guys for that mid-range to below mid-range pricing. I'm not going to go the big bucks on Sabonis or Turner or Gobert on the other side. I think they all battle each other well enough that, I don't want to go up to spend for any of those guys. My favorite player in this game with Conley out is Clarkson. I think Jordan Clarkson has proven he's just a points per minute dog. And the fact that he gets to run with that first unit and probably get some extended run with the second unit for his price, I think he's just awesome value. So that is going to be the spot I go. Okay, the third game. Again, all three of them start at the same time in these first three. So we will get news prior to, hopefully, with crazy COVID news and stuff, you never know. Sometimes things come in a little late, but we should have a good feel for what we're going to be working with on Sunday. All right, Miami Heat, New York Knicks. Knicks on the second night of a back-to-back. It's also a 3 games in 4 days. And so it's going to be interesting to see how fresh they are, what kind of legs they have. We know Thibodeau really runs his starters a lot of minutes. So, these type of stretches when you play back-to-back or 3 and 4 is when you see those minutes, that have been piling up. Really take their measure to guys. For teams that rotate like a Milwaukee where they don't usually overplay people minutes, in situations like this, they usually thrive. But, I'm a little concerned about the Knicks and the minutes played here. So I'm not going to go with the big boys like Randall or Barrett strictly for that purpose. Plus, Miami's got their full defensive unit back intact, specifically with Butler and Bam, leading the show defensively. I do think Quickly is a guy that is definitely on my radar. His price has gone up probably a little too high for a guy that's still coming off the bench, but he's getting 30 minutes quite often just because they can't take him off the floor because he's so good. I've also heard whispers that there's a possibility they may be trading for Derrick Rose, which I thought was mind-bending. But it's Thibodeau, Rose, that was his guy in Chicago. He likes getting the band back together wherever he goes. He already grabbed Taj Gibson, and, that's just the way he thinks. But I'm not sure why they'd want to bring Rose in unless they want him to tutor Quickly that's coming up. I would assume that they'll trade, maybe Smith Jr., Peyton, some guys like that, to give back to some younger guys for Chicago. So we'll see how that plays out. There's no official word. That was just some rumblings that I read about this evening. But anyway, back to Quickly, I think that, he's the guy that has, even though he's increased in minutes, he wasn't playing at all at the beginning. Then he was getting 15 to 20, and then it slightly increased. So he's got the youngest, freshest legs of this group. I think he may garner a little extra run, and he's also been extremely efficient and strong DFS points per minute. So I definitely want to give him a look. Alec Burks is another guy. Just, that dude finishes games. He gets in there. His price stays low. That's the other guy that I'm also interested in. Need to see the news if Noel gets onto the injury report or not. He missed the last game, which increased a little bit of Mitch Robb usage, and then brought Taj Gibson slightly into play. But I'm going to take a look at Mitch Robb, just to see what Noel's status is, and then go with a couple of the more value guys with Quickly and Alec Burks as potential roster spots. On the Miami side, since Butler's come back, he's been fantastic. But, we've got the situation here where you've got Miami's the 20th defense, but that's not the case. Now that they have Butler and Bam and all these guys back, they're playing like a top 10 defense this last week. And New York is 6th. So you've got two teams that have buckled down and played pretty good defense. And then how about this? 22nd and 30th in pace. I mean, it really, to spend up on any of these guys in this game, even Butler and Adebayo, it just doesn't seem like money well spent, on this five game slate. So, on the Miami side, there are some guys that have gotten less expensive and have been performing well, like Kelly Olynyk. He's been hitting threes and, getting some good run. I think if you want to pluck one or two guys from this game as value plays, that I would support, but not spending up for any of the big boys in this matchup. But, other than Olynyk, with Dragic being hurt, this could be a game where Kendrick Nunn gets back in there. Hero would be a nice play, but he's a little costly. So I'd be very picky on this game. I'll be following it very closely, in the morning in Discord, and I'll be posting stuff there. 2 games left. Real quickly here, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, this is the big ask that we do every podcast. If you can please hit that thumbs up, that makes a big difference for us. Subscribe to us. That is also huge. And in the top corner there, hit that alarm button, so that every time we post a podcast, it gives you an alert and you'll know that it is up and ready to roll. Times like this where, the games are early tomorrow or Sunday, it's actually Sunday morning now at this point, but that it's early, you want to know when that podcast is up so you can catch the whole entire thing. Also, go to dfscoachtalk.com, check out our info there. We'd love to have members join. We added a 3-day membership this past week, and it's been very, very popular. It's only $10. It allows you to get in there, check us out, look at our picks, how we do things. We have the best community in the industry. I'm telling you right now, we've got great members, very positive atmosphere. Everybody supports each other. We really push each other to be better, and it's just a great place to be. So we'd love to have you try us out and see what you think. I'm always available too, even if you're in there just for a quick 3 days and you want to pick my brain a little bit. Not tonight after the way some of my guys played, but generally, I'm happy to do that. So when you get in there and join us, just DM me and we'll hop in and chat and go over, what I like to talk about a lot too is just our philosophy at Coach Talk, which really surrounds bankroll management and contest selection, really the philosophy of how we hand build our lineups. We utilize every statistical analysis available, just like an optimizer would, but we don't dump it into an optimizer and then use those and lean on strictly those results. we like to mix all of that information together. And then from watching these games, discussing these games, reviewing these games, we like to hand build with all of those statistical analysis really blended in. So I'd love to talk to everybody about that. I mean, I'm passionate. I'm an old coach that has done this for a long time, since DFS started, and just love to share, chat, and go over some different ideas we can learn from each other. All right. Two more games. Like I mentioned, the fourth game is Boston and Phoenix. It is a 2:00 game. We know that Jaylen Brown's out, so of course that brings Jason Tatum to the forefront. He may be one of our key pay-up guys, no question about it, because the usage level and the way he's playing is fantastic. But a little bit of concern here. Again, you've got Boston 12th, and they continue to move up, and Phoenix 7th in defensive efficiency. So we have two teams that definitely like to get in that half court defensive positionality and get it done. And they slow people down. They make difficult shots. They don't give up a lot of offensive rebounds. And that is not good DFS mix right there. Also, they're 20th and 28th in pace. So similar to the Miami Knicks game, not a game you want to really focus on for extra possessions, extra DFS points that could be available. So very cautious here for me in this game. If I don't go with Tatum, I think that, Kemba is not the play in this game either, because Kemba has to face Chris Paul defense. They've been playing some of the backup points minutes, and rotating some people. Kemba had a great second half the last game, but he didn't have a good first half. So the consistency hasn't really been there yet with Kemba. And his price is good, though. So it's tempting. But he's probably not going to make the cut for me. But if I don't go with Tatum, we can go back and look at some more value here. We've had Tice and Thompson getting pretty much all the big man minutes and holding their own. So, you can look there, but I prefer targeting Tatum and then seeing if there's any other value play to put with them from the Boston side. But right now, that's my focus on Boston. Phoenix-wise, you've got a situation here where really it's been pretty consistent all year. The Paul, Booker, and Ayton all have been sharing. Then you have Mikal Bridges that will jump in there sometimes, and then some guys contributing off the bench. So they haven't been a great targeted DFS team. Like last year, we had Booker on lineups constantly because of the usage. He had the ball in his hands, but Paul slows it down. He works it. He's selective. And games where Booker sits, Paul's been great. But when Booker's back, it's more of a distribution situation. So not really thrilled to pay up for the three Phoenix guys, especially with this pace and Boston's prowess defensively. So I'm more than likely going to go very lightly on that side. I think Mikal Bridges is a guy that you can consider because his price has now decreased a little bit again, and he does have the potential to have a jump-up game where he's going to go 7-8x. So, all right, let's wrap it up. 3:00 Eastern, Sacramento Kings on the second night of a back-to-back against the Los Angeles Clippers. I like this game. This is a game that I definitely have some interest in. It is this game and the Washington-Charlotte game will probably fill 6 of my 8 spots. I really think it's going to end up coming down to that. But Sacramento's the worst defensive team in the league, even worse than Washington, believe it or not. So that's great news for the Clippers, especially in the fact that George is out, so all that usage is going to go to some guys. So right off the bat, and let me just say the Clippers are 14th, so they're just middle of the pack. They haven't gotten their full defensive game together yet. Uh, Pace-wise, Sacramento's 13th, so above average. Again, reason I like the Clippers. Clippers are 29th, but it's more. I think that has changed a little bit as they've had some of their rotation back. They've had COVID sits, etc., that have cost them some pace. So I'm not as concerned with that. Um, so the Clippers side, Kawhi may be the other pay up guy that I'm looking at. Either he and Tatum, if I'm going to shift off of some of the higher price guys from the Washington game. I may very well have Tatum and Kawhi as my two main pay up guys because let's face it, Kawhi is the man anyway. With George out, if Sacramento can hang with him, and that's the key, will the Clippers blow out Sacramento? And that's the concern here is it's a second of a back-to-back with Sacramento. It's in LA, and there is that potential. But I'm going to say I believe Sacramento can hang tight enough that you can have some guys really rock their value here. Kawhi is a risk because of that blowout potential, but one I'm willing to take because he's so dominant and his usage is through the roof with George off the floor. Luke Kennard is really stepping up. He came right into that role, had a great game. It's not points chasing. I mean, I've played him, in his Detroit days when he started emerging last year. He gets some DFS points in bunches, can definitely shoot the three. And with Sacramento's poor defense, I think he'll really have the ability to take advantage of that. One guy I'm steering clear of is Reggie Jackson. I know he's going to be tempting and will get some decent ownership, but last couple of games, he's just looked off and just, not as playing that well. The guy I like better is Terrence Mann. Mann ran alongside him, and then he got some extra minutes in there as well. And, he's emerging. I think he's going to pass Reggie up. And once they get healthy and Reggie goes back to the bench and, Beverly's back, at that point, I think Mann might be the guy that sticks in the rotation over Jackson. So I like all of those guys. From the Sacramento side, it's hard not to like De'Aaron Fox. He's the other guy that isn't quite at the top level as far as salary like Kawhi and Tatum are, but he may be that third guy that really makes it work. And with all of this other value that we mentioned in these past games, and not spending up on games like the Miami Knicks game, and other than Tatum, the Boston Phoenix game, I think it allows you to roster a Fox and a great correlation play to certainly Kawhi on the other side. The other Sacramento guys that they're going to, pique my interest briefly here. Harrison Barnes has had a hell of a stretch here. Then he's got to be considered. His price has gone up, but he definitely gets some consideration. Buddy Hield is one of those hit and miss guys. He either just blows it up or, has a really off game, and Walton pulls him and rotates guys. So not as confident about that play, but I think he's got to be in some consideration. And then the last guy I'll mention is Holmes, Richaun Holmes. He's had some good consistency, minutes played, rebounds every game, gets a few stocks in there. So, there's definitely stackability here. And like I say, my focus is going to be the Washington, Charlotte, and Sacramento Clippers game to really fill out a roster with a really high ceiling and a safe floor, I think, as long as we don't get any blowouts, which, hey, we've been thinking there's some of these games that blow out and the other team wins straight up. So, you got to play the game, got to lace them up. And, you can't over prepare for a blowout in some of these games because these guys are all professionals and, we know they can all get hot. So, that's the theme for me today. I think it's a really nice 5-game slate, great Super Bowl warm up for everybody. and we're planning on doing some serious damage. So join us at DFS Coach Talk for sure. You can follow us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. I'm at JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and Shane is at DET Sports Shane. Definitely want to get in our Discord tomorrow as well, because Shane and Andrew will be posting their NFL lines. And again, we provide full lines for FanDuel and Yahoo, and we provide a coach's clipboard, which gives you multiple guys to choose from with a highlighted core to build off of. So gives you some good advantage in all three sites. And we hope to smash basketball early, and then of course the Super Bowl in the evening. So that is it. It has been a long day and evening, or days, I don't know. One runs into the other, especially on the weekends, and then all the news has been interesting. But I'll leave you with this. Keep an eye if you want to win an NBA DFS at this stretch with the crazy world of COVID and all these rotations of guys in, guys out, protocol. You've got to follow it through. You got to have a good provider you can trust, like us, and follow us in Discord, because we're scouring and doing a lot of that work for you. And I know it comes into play specifically during the week when people are working and busy and kids and you got all that going. We're following that for you. We're going to let you know what's what, who's in, who's out, all the important stuff that's going on. And then, not only do you lock your lineup in and say, okay, I'm good, that's when it really has been getting very busy, as you know. So I know those of you out there that are smashing it, you're following it through the evening, because the news changes. And prior to games, we're getting, protocol guys sitting, late information on injuries, all lineup changes. So those are all definite slate shifters, and you've got to be on top of them. If you're in our Discord, you're following along with us, we're going to notate those. The rest of our community jumps on all that as soon as the news hits the wire, and we're making changes and adjusting so that we get every single edge. So we'd love to have you join us. We'd love to continue to share our DFS specifically picks, but also the big part of it, our philosophy and how we build and do stuff here. So great day Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Party your tails off, but make sure that you're safe and heading around. So enjoy the game, enjoy the basketball, build a nice bankroll with our basketball games, and parlay that into some big BetUS.com.pa bets on the Super Bowl. So remember that the promo code Coach Talk for the BetUS action, and hopefully we're all on the same side there, and we get some big cashes in. So that is it. I appreciate you listening. We'll be back on our regular schedule Monday through Friday. Andrew and I will be there all 5 days with NBA action. We're in front of the paywall 7 days a week, and we'll also be in there on Wednesday with our PGA action for the tournament coming up this week. So that is it. Have a great day. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.